and welcome to the Popcorn Bucket List, the podcast that keeps your movie bucket list up to date because those 1,000 movies to see before you die lists are just too daunting. I'm your host and resident getaway driver that will not pass you the aux cord, and with me is Darrell, one of the 7 evil exes, and Sarah, who only made it to 8 pubs into the Golden Mile. How are you guys doing today? That was a long sentence. Why did we do that?
We were doing it for the bit.
The bit, yes. Well, if you couldn't tell, today we are celebrating Sarah's birthday because that had nothing to do with that intro, but the recent release of her favorite director's newest film, Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho, is important and definitely referenced in that first paragraph there. Edgar Wright was born in 1974 across the pond in Great Britain. Known for his whip pans, eccentric and fast-paced scenes, and use of music soundtracks, Wright has captivated audiences since 2004 with the beloved horror comedy Shaun of the Dead. Oh, I like Shaun of the Dead. I have not seen that in a long time. He then moved forward with Hot Fuzz in 2007, The World's End in 2013, but then you go back and he did Scott Pilgrim versus the World in 2010. Then he did Baby Driver in 2017. Took a little break there. And then The Sparks Brothers in 2021 and Last Night in Soho 2021 as well. Didn't realize he had 2 movies this year. So, I kind of wanted to throw it over to Sarah because this is her wheelhouse and her favorite director. So I'd love for her to just chat about it a little bit and kind of talk about why he's your favorite director.
Yeah. So I think we'll just start with the first question, which is the easiest one. Of course, not really. Favorite Edgar Wright film. So difficult to pick from. But mine, and I've excuse you. Sorry, my cat.
Resident Tiggeroo there.
Yeah. My favorite Edgar Wright film, I also mentioned in our very first episode as one of my top 5 films of all time, is Scott Pilgrim versus the World. And I think it's a perfect example of why he's my favorite director, because just the editing, the cuts, the jokes, the music, and how it just drives that entire movie, and just like all of it. The cast is amazing, and I think he did just an amazing job adapting those comic books and making them feel like a movie and a music video and a concert and a video game and a comic book all in one.
Yeah, that's what I love about that specific movie, is that it feels exactly. I didn't read comics till like last year and into this year, and I was like, oh yeah, this movie is like exactly what the comics are supposed to feel like. And even when I first saw it, I was like, man, this is so cool. I've never seen anything like this. Like, I remember going to a theater and seeing like the second half of it first, because I just walked into a random theater and I was like, oh, this is really cool. I want to see the beginning now. So I stayed so I could watch the rest of it.
You are a criminal. You are a criminal.
No, back
oh
then,
my god!
Back then it was okay. Back then they had the name of the movie at the top of the marquee, so you could actually tell what was in there. Now they don't do that anymore because they don't want you to go in and know what's there. But there was a way to work the system back then.
Sure.
Back in the day. It's not criminal, it's taking advantage of just what's there, you know?
I definitely didn't have an appreciation for Scott Pilgrim until I was older. I felt like the humor didn't hit me correctly until I was definitely more in my early 20s, late, teens. And then becoming best friends with you, Sarah, I grew a more appreciative look on the film, and definitely, I mean, like I still, that's one of those movies that still makes me laugh. I enjoy all the references. I mean, we're all pretty much big video gamers, so I mean, the references just to old school video games are really fun. And then just the deadpan humor. I don't know why young Grace didn't get it, because older Gracie, that's like her humor to the point, like full sarcasm, full deadpan, like nothing. I don't know, but it's definitely something that I've grown to like love as I've gotten older. So, but yeah, Darrell, what's your favorite Edgar Wright film?
Well, my favorite is his first. Mine is Shaun of the Dead because
Classic.
after Scott Pilgrim, that was the first one I actually saw, and ever since I saw it, I was always like just amazed by how clever it is. It's the thing I love about his movies, especially his Cornetto trilogy, is that he's such a clever writer. He and Simon Pegg did such a wonderful job with those scripts, like with those amazing callbacks, just really funny jokes that shouldn't be funny, but they're really funny just because of the way they're delivered, because of the casual way they're said. You know, you're dealing with an apocalyptic situation, everyone's just kind of like, it's fine. We'll just go to the pub. It's fine. It it'll wait for all this to blow over, kind of stuff. And it's also really quotable. So like stuff like that, like go to the pub, wait for all this to blow over. The music selection was always really, really interesting to me. It was like kind of my first time like watching a movie and thinking like, oh wow, like I love how they're using music by Queen while they're like feeding the zombie with a pool stick. This is great. I mean, it's just, and then lines like "kill the Queen" as the music is playing. I'm like, this is great. This is awesome. It's like it's violent. It's funny. It's really well acted. It's sometimes like really dramatic and pretty sad, which is surprising. You wouldn't expect that in a comedy, but like that movie just it makes me happy every single time I watch it. And just because Edgar Wright seemingly from the beginning knew what he was doing effectively. So
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that's
that's
like
my favorite.
really the best part of his movies is that like you get rewarded for rewatching them. Like there are so many Easter eggs and like Shaun of the Dead has like some of the best. Like when he is first going through his breakup and Nick Frost's character is just like saying like what they're gonna do to get over the breakup and it like exactly spells out the
Yeah.
rest of the movie. Like it's so brilliant.
Yeah,
I
I love
that
that
one
kind of
is
stuff.
also like probably because I watched that pretty young, like because I have a weird fascination with horror films, and for some reason I thought it was a strict horror film, and I watched it and I was like, I didn't know you could mix zombies and funny. Like I didn't like it was probably the first time I watched something where they mixed a comedy with a genre, and it also was probably the first time I ever noticed a soundtrack. Like you're right, like that scene with Queen playing in the background is probably like still ingrained in my memory. Like it's probably why I had a weird zombie, phase growing up, definitely went through a zombie phase and it was probably because of that movie. But yeah, no, that one is just to me that one's really witty and I think that was just probably why that one held my attention a lot more than Scott Pilgrim did because that one appealed to me a little bit more with the horror stuff and the zombies. I haven't seen that one in forever. I should probably rewatch that. Didn't do my homework, guys. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I did it for all of us.
Thank you.
I think I've watched all of his movies in the past year, so
Wow.
at least. But yeah, what about you, Gracie? What's your favorite Edgar Wright film?
Mine, and I feel like this is such a bitch answer, but excuse my language, but it's Baby Driver. And it's so Baby Driver, I saw that in theaters, and it was probably the first Edgar Wright film I saw in theaters. I'm going to scroll real quick. And yeah, that's the first one I saw in theaters. And that, like, to me, when I left that, my heart was still racing. And I think, like, I remember who I was like, I remember who I was seeing with it. And I remember turning to them and going, I feel like I was in the car with them the entire time. Like that movie, like full on, like that's what a movie was supposed to be. It's supposed to make your heart race. It's supposed to make you scared. It's supposed to make you cry. It's supposed to make you happy, and that movie does all of that. Like it makes you jump. It makes you like, oh, it like all those stereotypical cinematic like things that we say a movie should do in those cheesy like adverts for movie cinemas. That film covers everything. It's got funny, it's got oh my god, John Hamm is terrifying, and I love him, and I just love watching him in that film. And that film just I watch that probably every 3 months. Like it's one of those that like I can watch and just listen to the music and just vibe out. And I love that. So I don't know. That's got to be mine.
Yeah, that one is like Edgar Wright made me like a movie in a genre that I normally hate. Like I hate action movies for the sake of action movies, and that is exactly what heist movies are. And he
Hmm.
just flipped it on its head and made like a 2 hour long music video to the coolest soundtrack ever. Like,
Hmm. Yeah. And
Yeah,
I
that's
think
like one of the
that's,
best movies of
oh
that
yeah.
year, really.
Oh yeah. 2017. Can you think of other movies that came out in 2017?
Blade Runner 2049.
Ah, shit.
It was a good year,
Well,
but those were like my two favorites.
no,
So
no. Baby Driver. Baby Driver, so much better. Oh my God. I will die on that hill.
Well, I
Hold on.
put my
I'm
favorite
looking up.
directors head to head.
All right.
oh yeah,
2017 movies. Let's see.
I'm about to say The Martian, but that was 2016. I'm pretty sure.
2017. Star Wars Last Jedi.
Oof.
Beauty and
yes.
the Beast. The Fate and the Furious. Despicable Me.
Mm.
Oh, I don't know, guys. Welcome to the Jungle. Jumanji's on there. So,
Oh,
shit.
That was a good one.
Spider-Man: Homecoming. We
Wow, I feel
got
so old now. 4 years
Guardians
ago.
Volume 2, Thor Ragnarok, Wonder Woman.
Oh wow.
Wow, that's a very specific year. Like that, like just looking at the posters is nauseating.
They
It's
all
like
look the
all
same.
neon and bad.
that Baby Driver poster though is gorgeous.
Oh
yes.
Not, but I don't know,
Love looking
guys.
at that one.
Last night in Soho's poster is like, oh, it's just what I want in a movie poster.
Yeah.
And I'm specifically thinking of like the art one, like not
Yeah.
the one they have outside the theater, because that one's stupid because it looks just like every other Star Wars movie. But the one where it's like paint. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is gorgeous.
the one on the letterbox. All right. Well, let's see. Let's see. Like what makes his movies feel so unique to you guys? Unique to you guys.
Unique New York.
Unique New York, you guys. I could do that, but I couldn't say unique, you guys. Like, why do we love Edgar Wright? Like, why is that something, like, especially Sarah, he's your favorite director, or at least one of your favorite directors. You know, why is he your favorite director? Like, what makes him sing to you?
I think because like normally if you're watching a movie and you notice the editing, like that's a bad thing. Like you're not supposed to. It's supposed to like blend in. But the way that he like puts it in front of you is so fun and it like fits his like style and it makes it like more exciting and more entertaining and like I've never watching other comedy movies just like falls so short because like the way that he edits comedy has like changed my view of comedy. Like it's all of it is so brilliant. Like in the World's End with like the drinking scene and it's just beer after beer after beer with like the high like really exciting music and then it like stops and it's like pushing a button and water filling up. Like it's so funny and like in a normal like comedy movie they'd just be like pestering like their friend about like, oh yeah, you're just having a water or whatever, like, but like he just brought it to another level and made it such a huge part of that movie and like it makes the payoff when Nick Frost downs all 6 shots of tequila that much better.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like I mean that's amazing, isn't it? That like he's one of those directors who his editing style is so specific that as soon as if you watch any other movie, you sit there like, that's like Edgar Wright. Look what they did. Look at the copying. They're copying our boy. They don't even know what they're doing.
But now, like, it's such a, like, it's Edgar Wright. Like, and for director who's only been around for, let's say, about 20 years, not even, to have your own style, it's pretty cool. Like, to have your own editing style is pretty cool.
Right
and
off
like
the bat.
yeah, from Shaun of the Dead, like from one, like this is an Edgar Wright film. And like as editors, I mean, most of us, Sarah's an editor, Darrell's, an editor. We all edited all sorts of different commercials and videos and everything galore, all 9 yards. And we've all tried in our own way to go, oh, let's make an Edgar Wright move here. Or like, oh, let's, let's do this whip pan, smash cut real quick, do that. And we all know we're picturing a scene in our head. Like I can picture like the Scott Pilgrim scene where it's like whipping back and forth. It's, to me, it's so iconic that we can go, oh yeah, whip pan. And like 3 Edgar Wright films are going through your head. And that's unique because I feel like you say, oh, let's do a Kubrick and you do 600 takes, right? But like what other director can you really like? Maybe you could do a Ridley Scott and, do like long. I don't know. I can't even think of any other. Like that was my example with Stanley Kubrick.
I think like Tarantino is like the only other person who I could think, oh, he definitely has a style, but even he's kind of like mellowed that style a lot in his. He's mellowed movies.
Recently.
Yeah, I don't. He hasn't skimped on the blood, but other than that, I agree that it is a little less. His style has kind of like,
and like Ridley Scott, like he's like one of those like big all-time directors. He bounces all over the place. He doesn't really have like, he has like theming, I think, but he has no like, you can't watch a movie and go, oh, that was Ridley Scott. Like that felt like a Ridley Scott film. You can't watch something else done by somebody else and go, I see they were referencing Ridley Scott. You could do it for Edgar Wright though. Like that's why I think he's cool.
He definitely like stands on his own, and I think that might have been like one of the reasons why Marvel didn't go through with him directing Ant-Man, because like he said in a quote that he wanted to make a Marvel movie, but I don't think that they really wanted to make an Edgar Wright movie. And that's such a shame because like I would love to see that genre of comic book movie in Edgar Wright style. Like,
and also Ant-Man would have been perfect for that.
Oh yeah.
Ant-Man would have been the perfect hero to do that. Like, and then it would have been so stylized. It would have been cool to see him in other films. Like it would have made the character more stand out.
Scott Pilgrim meets Baby Driver in a super.
Yeah, it would have been perfect.
No limits too. Like he's not limited to a car. He's not limited to, like Scott Pilgrim is cool because it blends like reality with, video game centric stuff. And that's why Ant-Man could have been cool, because you could have been like, oh, he's running a heist, but he can turn really, really big or really, really tiny. Like it's Baby Driver, literally with Ant-Man. Oh, if only.
What could have been? There's an alternate universe where that exists. I mean, it's funny because his style has been so present through his work. Like I don't know if either of you have seen Spaced, his TV show. It was like the TV show he had in like, let's see, 1999 2001. It only lasts for like 2 seasons, 14 episodes. Me and my friend did like a binge of all of his stuff like a few years ago, and we started with the show. And the show's great, and if you watch even like the first episode, you're like, oh my god. Like, he started from the beginning. From the very beginning, you're seeing, like, basically Shaun of the Dead, like, the first version of, like, the first episode. And it's really, really impressive because it's, like, this is a guy who, when he finally got his shot to just do what he wanted, he was able to really use his creativity to make something that stood out so much in terms of, like, his comedic style, his editing, his overall direction, again, like his use of music, and like he had that for years before he even did a movie. And I just think that that's amazing. Like that's so cool that he had such a clear vision for what he wanted to do. I mean, that was back also when he was working with Simon Pegg, so he's like for like basically like 10 years they like worked together on so many cool things. And it's just awesome that together they were such a great creative force. So I don't know, just I want to watch the show again. It's been a while since I've seen it. It's so funny. It's so good. But it was cut so short. It only had 14 episodes. It's a shame.
Yeah, I definitely need to check that out. And I hope that one day they get back together and make something else, because like
Same.
Edgar Wright and Simon Pegg is the dream team. Yeah, I think the other like big thing that Edgar Wright is known for is like his music in his movies. Like one of the quotes that I got from him earlier was that like sometimes the song is wholly dictating the scene, the movement, the editing, the rhythm, the length of the shots, the length of the entire scene, because he like has these songs figured out before he even starts like writing. So yeah, on that what is y'all's favorite music moment in an Edgar Wright film?
This was really hard. I feel like we were all fighting over this right before we started recording.
Yeah.
And we talk for about 30 minutes before just to kind of like run through the outline and go through everything, kind of just test pilot questions. And this one, I started off the conversation saying, "This is my favorite scene." Darrell says, "No." I was like, "Fine, Darrell, you can have this. I'll pick another one." Darrell says, "Never mind, I changed it." And now none of us have picked that.
I mean, that's just how it has to be. I'm sorry. It's like
We can honorably mention it.
Yeah,
we can mention it because I mean it's iconic at this point, pretty much.
Yeah, and I feel like that's like maybe it is like the easy answer for that. Like maybe it made us think. We were like, "Oh, we got to keep going." So I want to start off by saying, if you haven't seen The Last Night in Soho, probably watch it before we continue on this conversation because I'm going to talk about it. Because as I said, Baby Driver is my favorite film, but then I saw Last Night at Soho, and now I'm kind of like, "Oh, I don't know," because it's a psychological horror, guys, and I didn't even know that until the stupid trailer before Halloween Kills. Don't get me on trailer editing. You know, like I went into thinking Last Night in Soho was going to be like a mystery, kind of nothing like horrifying. And then the trailer before Halloween Kills just shows everything. And you can ask Darrell. Darrell was there with me. I literally held up the popcorn in front of my head and I was like, "I'm seeing too much of this film." And I'm like crying.
Even on Instagram, Edgar Wright, like he would post stuff and he's like, "If you don't want to see any more about this movie before it comes up, keep scrolling." And I was scrolling. I was like, I don't want to know.
So annoying. So if you don't want it spoiled for you, if you don't want any moments, because like us, we don't like things ruined for us. And
go watch it and come back.
Go watch it. Pause. Walk to your nearest movie theater. Try and go see a local. Don't go to AMC or Cinemark. But if you have to, that's fine. Shout out to Cinemark. That's where I see my movies because I don't live anywhere near a local theater. But like if
Dolby
you can,
Digital.
Dolby Digital. Yeah.
So
Dolby
maybe go to AMC.
Actually, you know what? Just go to AMC. Just
go to an AMC. Never mind. AMC, sponsor us, please.
Give us money, please.
Because I'm pretty sure I saw it in the Cinemark. You saw it in AMC. I think Sarah also saw it in AMC.
I had to see it at AMC because I had to see the Dolby Digital.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it with 3 other people in the theater, and I was so excited. So it was like the first
one other guy. It was me, Matt, and some dude in the back.
Yeah, that theater was empty.
Yeah, ours is empty. So go see this film. So you've paused it. Hopefully you paused it before this. Go see the movie. Think about it. Come sit back down and listen to the podcast or in your car or whatever. I don't care.
And welcome back.
And welcome back. Hello.
Good evening.
And welcome.
You like
to the popcorn bucket list.
Yes, to the popcorn bucket list. All right. So I thought about it. I picked a song from Baby Driver because like that's my favorite. But Last Night in Soho is just the music is so beautiful and that's definitely like you have to have an appreciation, I feel like, for that style of music and that, you know, time period. Because the 60s music is just so great. Just so great. And it gives a vibe. Like I think that's why I really felt like this was going to be something else than it was. Like I really felt like it was going to be like a time traveling piece or like, you know, I don't know. I was just thinking it was going to be something different because of the music. But there is a moment where it's a chase scene or it's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's chaotic and she's frantic and like basically everything is just like this penultimate moment where she can't go any longer without feeling like she's by herself. She's alone, you know, she's crazy, you know, that kind of thing. And it's playing to There Is Always Something There to Remind Me. And I'm 80s music to like, that's my genre. That's what I listen to. I didn't know it was a cover. And so I was like, oh, this is an interesting choice. It's not a 60s song. So they like 65'd it. No, it's a 60s song covered in the 80s. And my mind was, the whole time I was like, this is amazing. Cause it's like I'm so used to the fast pace, like, the do 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 do, like going really fast to it. So it's like slowed down and it gives this eerie feel. And she's like running around and things are happening around her. And it's just so good.
Yeah, that one
And
is
it's also
so
one of my
brilliant.
favorites.
It's like a lot of these songs too are just like there's always something going on in the scene that like goes with the song. And even then like a more serious take like this movie, which didn't really have a lot of laughs.
No, no laughs. No,
but like
not honestly, none. There's
yeah.
like no laughs in this film. Unless you find
her
horror funny.
but yeah, like her running around like modern day Soho and like, it's like being in the same place that she's been in these dreams. It's like there's always something there to remind me of like this hellscape that she's been living through as she's like walking around and seeing like all
Dead
of these
people.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. It
So
was
good.
so good. And it's just this great moment because like some of the music I hadn't recognized, some of them I did. I mean, I had Downtown stuck in my head for like 3 days after seeing this film. I mean, I'm still hearing it. And so it was just like a cool like mix up because I feel like if you know the song, you probably know the 80s song first. So like it almost creates this like eerie feeling of like uneasiness and dread, and you're like, oh god, she's not gonna make it out of this movie, like like she's done. Like that's it. So I picked that one, but then I picked one from Baby Driver, and I didn't pick the one that Darrell and I fought over because I was trying to be nice and give Darrell that one, but no. So I picked Easy by the Commodores, which is the Easy Like Sunday Morning, which is the scene at I think it's at the very end of the movie when he's like getting caught. I think it's been a while.
There's a middle scene where he's like at a place where like at like a car junkyard basically. There's that.
Yes, that's
there
it.
are two versions of the
They're
song.
They're crushing his car.
There
Yeah.
are two versions, and that's where the Commodore's version plays.
Yes, because then his mom sings the other section.
Yeah.
And that's a song that like after I left the theater, I immediately put it on my playlist. And that's like my driving song when I want to like just chill. And maybe it's because I, have a new car and I'm like super into driving at the moment and listening to my playlist. I like have a tailored made driving playlist, and half of the songs from Baby Driver are on it. But yeah, that's just one of my favorite songs he's picked. And because I just feel like that one really resonated with me. Oh, so many good moments.
Yeah,
Darrell, what is your favorite?
Okay. Well, my favorite. So, as we've stated before, I stole Grace's, and now it's not on any of our list. But we'll talk about it after we get to Sarah's. Because I have two favorites also. Because I was going to steal Sarah's also, because it's actually literally one of my favorite songs of all time. But I'll let Sarah discuss it.
Oh.
So the song I actually picked was Intermission by Blur, which was from Baby Driver. And it's just because I remember watching the movie, and it's the scene where basically everything's about to go to shit during one of the heists. Like, Baby's sitting there, and he's having self-doubt all of a sudden, and there's just a lot of tension growing, and you're hearing this kind of like little piano trill that seems like, oh, this is very simple, and it gets more and more and more dramatic and frantic, and it starts kind of like freaking you out. And I just love that scene so much because I just love the tension that builds because of the music. It's like about the music, it just wouldn't be the same. I mean, that's how most of Baby Driver works, is that it's all driven by like pre-existing music. But that particular scene was just I don't know, it just got me so excited. I think that was the scene in the movie that got me like, when you're watching a movie and you really like it, you're like, oh, this is really good. And things kind of slow down a little bit and you're like, okay, we're at a good place. This is the part where the movie's like, all right, we're getting it back up. Here we go, guys. Come on, get excited. I'm like, oh, yes, here we go. I'm like bouncing in my seat. And then Jamie Foxx gets murdered, basically. That's
so good.
And it's such a great moment where he gets like crushed by like some stuff from the back of a truck. It's amazing. But yeah, the song just makes the scene better. But yeah, and so My second song, which again is one of my all-time favorite songs, I will let Sarah. Oh, sorry, on my screen she's like up here in the corner. So I'm like, if you're seeing me, I'm pointing up here because that's where she is for me. So Sarah, please.
Okay, yeah. My favorite music scene from my favorite Edgar Wright film is Black Sheep and Scott Pilgrim. It is so brilliant. Like the half cuts between this like the relationships, the ex relationships, the current relationships, the like, oh yeah, oh no, just like that song is so absolutely perfect. One for that band, like having read the comic book before, like to like bring the band to life with metric was like
It's
brilliant. Like
perfect.
it's so perfect. And then just that song is just like it is so fun because it's like you're like, oh shit, this band's amazing. Like no wonder like Scott's so like about like her and about like everybody loving Clash of Demon Head and everything and like it's such a good one. And then like, obviously as always the lyrics just, going back and forth with like just the oh hey, I know you're here and I remember you, but I don't care anymore because you're like old news and shit is just so it's so brilliant. It's so fun and like the graphics on screen with like the sound waves and stuff, like just bringing that like comic book aspect into it with like such a fun punch and like it is so much fun.
That scene is so iconic too. Like I think like just thinking about it, I can picture the moments like too. But like the beat is perfect. Everything is just like perfect, tailor made for that scene. And it and honestly, she's video camera, there you go. She's just sexy in that scene. Like she is killer, and what a great character introduction. Because like at first you're like, well, this guy's not gonna have like what's her name's gonna be the best thing he's gonna get, right? Like like that's where your like mind thinks, and then she just walks out on stage.
Brie Larson, you're like, oh my god.
Brie Larson, and she just walks out, and you just want her to like step on you with those boots, and the lipstick, and it's just like, damn. And you're feeling all these emotions, also of like, he's looking at her, she's looking at her, he's looking at him and her, like it's all over. It's just a great kismet moment too that I totally believe in happening. Like that's such a moment that like I can believe would happen in my life, like, or in anybody. Like that's just such a beautifully written moment. Oh, I haven't seen that one in forever. I'll have to watch that one again.
My heart absolutely exploded when they finally released the full song, like the full cover by Brie Larson. Like it took 10 years, and like when they finally released it with the anniversary, I was like, thank you.
Yeah, that was the song that got me into metric. So I was like, yep, and I like this band now. Thank you for that.
Sarah, you have another one though, right?
Yeah, I did have
I know you do.
Up. We already kind of touched on it. The Don't Stop Me Now.
Don't stop me now.
It just that's probably like the most quintessential Edgar Wright scene of like ever. Just like the hitting exactly to the beat. Like it's so good.
And I think that's why it works so beautifully, because I was literally just rewatching a scene from Baby Driver, and when he's watching his car get crushed, right? And he turns on the song and he literally throws the gloves on like the beat where like it kind of just like, and then he kicks something in the ground to like the song, and then you turn around and you can see he's singing the song too. And I just love that it feels so like intimate when there's songs, because like I definitely like have moments where I'm like, oh, this would be a great movie scene, let this play in the background, like doesn't everybody have like a song that they picture themselves staring out the car window lost, that kind of thing. And I think that's why I love those movies, and those scenes are so beautifully done because they're choreographed and cut and shot just perfect to these moments. And now I want to watch them all again.
Yeah, he knows how to not only pick the perfect song, but like also just like to let that song drive the scene. And like in Baby Driver, like my favorite scene in that is the one in the diner when John Hamm is like trying to like
yes.
get Baby and Deborah. Like it's just like
Yeah.
it makes that song so creepy.
It
And
does.
it's like oh, like, but it's brilliant. It was such a good choice.
Never
like,
gonna give you up. It's like, geez. It's like that sounds so scary.
Oh yeah. Oh, so good. And like they're also just like great character stories. I think that's the like we don't really talk about a lot when we talk about Edgar Wright is that they're great characters. Like, you know, you've got, you know, John Hamm, you've got, you know, Jamie Foxx, you've got, you know, Michael Cera, you know, you've got these great moments. And I mean, Simon Pegg and, you know, Nick Frost are just like, but, and then you got Anna Taylor-Joy there now, and she's haunting.
Literally.
And then I want to say like Matt Smith was phenomenal.
Awesome. He plays such a great villain now.
He is such a great villain, and he's playing a couple more villain parts in a couple of movies coming up, and I'm so excited because like I'm like I trust him now, like because like. And it's probably because like I'm a huge Doctor Who fan, so like to me he's this like lovable, you know, he's definitely like the cuddly doctor. He's not like no David Tennant who was like the haunted doctor, you know, like he's not. He was like the fun hair and like, you know, the crazy and wacky arms, and then you go from that to this, and I'm like, I'm scared. Like I'm a little terrified of you. And but also sexy. Like he has a way of making like the villains seem cool in a way. Like even like, you know, the bad guys in, I mean, Baby Driver, all of them are pretty much villains, you know, but they're still like cool, you know, they're like, you know, you want to be John Hamm, you know, a stockbroker on the weekdays, a bank robber at night, you know, that kind of thing. And like even like video game, like he makes the things that shouldn't be cool suave and like moving and like all sorts. Yeah, I'm gonna go rewatch Baby Driver when I get off of this.
Good, because we also have to talk about the one honorable mention.
Yes.
See, that was a great segue. If anyone says it wasn't, you know, it was actually very good, I think. So yeah, the other song that we want to talk about was Bell Bottoms.
Bell Bottom, yeah.
From the opening of Baby Driver. I remember he released like the opening scene online before the actual movie, and seeing that got me so freaking excited for this movie that I had a limited interest in seeing, and I was just like, okay, here we go. This is now I know what I'm getting into. And watching that on a big screen, I think that was actually the first movie I saw in Dolby Cinema at AMC. Please give us money. I think that was the first movie I actually saw in Dolby, and hearing those engines revving up in that,
sorry, I'm listening to it.
Sound system. Good, yes, just enjoy it, please. Like it is. It's such a perfect scene. It's like a 7-minute scene of just pure adrenaline, and it's the perfect song. It is, like I said, I feel like it's iconic at this point because you can't listen to that without thinking about that scene.
No, you can't. And it's just it's a great opening. Like this is what you're getting yourselves into. You know, like this is your characters. These are who you're going to trust. These are who you're not going to trust. Like it tells you everything in that first 7 minutes of that film. And I mean, like, and you're rocking out and that's, I think the one thing is like, I feel like, especially Baby Driver, it was a lot less dialogue than his other ones. Like it's a lot more music and, you know, soundtrack heavy, in like that fact that it was relying more on the music to tell you what to feel rather than dialogue. But oh my gosh. Oh, now I'm gonna go watch it. I keep saying it. It's a ride. It's literally like a joy ride. It's, you know, you're cruising down, you know, California's Highway 1, with the, cape right next to you, the ocean and the forest on the other side of you, and you feel like you're about to fall down. And I'm sure that's a reference that no one else is going to get here because I'm the only one who lived in California. But that's what it feels like. You're zipping around the coast on your car. And if I had a car that had a top down, I would have had a top down, but I didn't. I had a crappy Kia, so don't talk about it. But like I was pretending to zoom around like I was being car chased by cops. It was GTA 5, but better. Oh my gosh. I feel like we've covered a lot like of this next question, but if you have anything else you want to discuss, Sarah or Darrell, why do Edgar Wright's movies resonate with you?
So for me, all of my favorite directors kind of have like one thing in common, which I feel like they remind you that you're watching a movie instead of just like getting lost in the story. So like with Denis Villeneuve and Stanley Kubrick, it's like you're just watching it and you're like so overwhelmed by like the beauty and mastery of like these paintings on screen. And with Wes Anderson, it's just like, you're so called to like his zooms and like the fact that it looks like he's turned a play into a movie. And so like you never forget that you're watching a movie. And Edgar Wright does that so well with like his editing style and like drawing attention to the music. Like, yeah, I get lost in like these stories because they're amazing, but at the same time, like I never forget that I'm watching an Edgar Wright movie, and the way that he like plays with film is like just it's so much fun. And I love directors that can do that.
Yeah, I agree. It's like his movies are they're very clearly movies, and that in a good way. It's not like you're watching it and you're like, man, this sucks the whole time. You watch and you're like, man, the mastery of the art form is like in front of me, and he's using the power. He's using. I'm gonna get very pretentious here. He's using the power of cinema to bring you into another world without letting you get completely lost. And I love that about his movies. Like I keep mentioning like callbacks in his movies to jokes throughout the movies. And I love that because I love, as Grace said earlier, being rewarded for watching the film and actually paying attention. Like you don't get that in a lot of movies. A lot of time it's like a twist is the most you get rewarded for. But it's nice when it's like he puts in details that he just throws at you. It's like, here, if you get this, you'll have more fun, but you don't necessarily need it to enjoy the movie. And his movies are they're fun to watch. They always excite me. They always make me happy to watch. Like Last Night in Soho was something where like at a certain point I was just smiling the whole time. I was like, this is just so good. Everything about this is just so good. So interesting. So like I don't know, hectic at times. I'm just like, this is wonderful. I love this. Like I don't get this a lot in movies. So
Yeah. And like a lot of his movies don't really have twists, but like Last Night in Soho had a big twist. And even though like I know it, I still can't wait to watch it again because I
yeah.
know there's so much that I'm going to pick up on. Like I don't care that I already know how it ends because I still need to experience it again.
Exactly. Few movies with twists can really do that.
I have more to say about Last Night in Soho, but I'm going to answer this question first because I want to get to that point. So the reason I feel like Edgar Wright, at least, and why Baby Driver and Last Night in Soho so resonate with me, and even parts of Shaun of the Dead and Scott Pilgrim, is because music was really important to me growing up. And like, my dad was always showing me new music and new songs, and my mom was always showing me new stuff. And so like I attribute like my love for music to my dad, who was playing Pink Floyd for me, like, and Rolling Stones and just the Beatles and all sorts of, like, he was giving me an appreciation for music. And I feel like Edgar Wright, you can tell how multifaceted he is by watching his films. You can see, oh, he's a dude who really likes movies, but he's also a dude who really likes people and wants to write about interesting people. And he's also a dude who cares about his craft because he's honed it, like, and you can get all this stuff just by watching his movies, whereas other directors, you don't know anything about them. Like you could watch a Kubrick film and not learn anything about Kubrick.
Yeah.
Stuff about Kubrick from people talking about him. You don't learn about him from watching The Shining or 2001. Edgar Wright, you're learning about him too. and you're learning about his playlist, like what he listens to on Spotify. I think that's why I really appreciate him and his movies, is because I feel like it's like watching someone, when a friend or like a loved one goes, oh, I made this for you, do you like it? And sometimes you're like, yeah, but you appreciate the fact that it's hard work and they put themselves into it. That's what Edgar Wright is for me. He's like, I'm making something I love and I'm giving it to you guys. And you are graced with this, and that's why I think I love Edgar Wright films. Oh,
like,
but
even one of my favorite things is like following his Instagram. Like every like month or so, he'll like just post a picture of all of like the stack of DVDs that he watched that month, and like you can really just get like a look into like what drives him and like inspires him, and I love that.
Yeah, just as a person, he's such an interesting person on social media, because he's always just talking about what he watched, giving recommendations, like talking about music, talking about everything he likes, which is just, I don't know, just interesting as a director. Him being very open about like just what inspires him is really, really cool. He's a very, I mean, he's a celebrity, so he's not really, but he is approachable. He's approachable in that way. His content is approachable, and he at least has the appearance of being an approachable person. So just just as an aside, as covering the person himself, Edgar Wright, the man, the myth, the legend, is just an interesting guy.
Yeah,
I like him.
I think we as a podcast really like Edgar
we
Wright.
endorse Edgar
Yes,
Wright.
There you go.
Popcorn bucket list official.
But I wanted to just chat about Last Night in Soho, like get your guys' thoughts. Sorry.
All right, she muted herself.
Oh no.
Sorry, guys. I've had that cough for 5 weeks now.
Did really good. You got really far into it.
Thanks. Let me restart.
Yeah.
So I really wanted to pick your guys' brains about Last Night in Soho, so we could talk about it. So if you really haven't seen it, like, please stop, go see the movie, and then listen to the rest of this. Like, if you haven't listened to our warnings, like, now is like a penultimate, like, please don't listen anymore, because I'd love to talk about like the twists and the turns and everything, and just kind of get your guys' thoughts, because like I had 2 hours later, actually 6 hours later, went, oh. And I went and I turned to my husband. I was like, oh my God, like, this is what's going on. Like, it's not this, it's this. And he was like, oh. And so, like, yeah, I really want to talk about it with you guys. So aside from like really enjoying it, like, what were your guys' thoughts? Like, did you like the vibe? It was different. I feel like it was a different Edgar Wright film. I mean, it still felt like him, but it wasn't. I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't
what we're used to.
Yes.
Yeah, like his first 4 movies are comedies, like the trilogy, and then Scott Pilgrim, which like between 2 and 3, and they're all like very funny. And then like Baby Driver was like a really like big shift
action,
into like
car movie,
more dramatic and like action heavy, which I mean his movies are always action heavy, but like in a very different feeling.
But then this one wasn't really action heavy.
Yeah.
This one I felt was a slow burn, and he could have gone a lot more graphic with this one, and he didn't. And like I thought he was gonna go that way. I at first was kind of nervous. I was like, oh, that'll really ruin the film for me. And like that's a lot for me because I love extra blood and gore. But like this had just enough to make it still like perfect. Like it didn't need the blood and the gore. It just needed that like literal one scene. And you get it. You get it.
Yeah, that was like amazing. To like her eyes and the knife, like just like,
and it's almost cheesy. It was very close to being cheesy.
It's so close to being cheesy. It could have been cheesy. It was not. It was
with the makeup, her raccoon eyes,
yes.
and so like and this is where I'm gonna tell you guys my aha moment. So like we very early on, we like in the first 2 minutes of the movie, we accept that she sees ghosts and that like she can see her mother and people who have touched her or something like that. And we never question it. Like never at all question it. And then she gets to the new apartment and we're like, oh, she's seeing, Sandy. She's seeing Sandy's ghost, right? It's Matt Smith's ghost that she's seeing. She's seeing her through Matt Smith. So she's like, that's whose ghost is haunting. It's all the guy's ghosts because she's not dead. Spoiler alert. Like, sorry if you're listening still and you haven't seen the movie, I apologize. But like that, like, and then I caught, there was a line I caught very early on in the movie and I went, I'm going to log that piece of dialogue for later. And the old lady makes a comment about how, oh, you need to close up the pipes because in the summer the stink rises. And I don't know if that's a Soho thing. I don't know. I need to do research on the, the sewer system in Soho. But like, to me, I went, that's a weird thing to say. And I was like, is the sewer system bad in Soho? Like, I don't know. And then I went,
it's the bodies in the floorboards.
Yeah, the bodies in the summer.
So yeah, I really appreciated it. And like the turn that it takes. And also there's like, it's star-studded. Like I knew Matt Smith, I knew Anna Taylor-Joy. That's all I knew. And then you've got, what's his name?
Terrence Stamp,
the guy from Hunger Games.
Who?
Which guy?
The guy with the smile. He was the detective.
The guy with the okay, the detective dude. Okay,
it's
the
like
old
something
version of him, or
the original version.
The younger version
the young
of
version.
him.
Oh,
I
don't remember him.
He was in Hunger Games. He played the fancy guy, Sam Claflin. Claflin. Yeah, Sam Claflin. He was in he's the fancy smancy sexy guy.
I know the older version of him has been in other things, but I'm just picturing him in
Finnick.
In Haunted Mansion.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's exactly who it was.
Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. That was him.
Yeah, he plays
Salorum. Okay.
That's right.
And then the old lady was bugging the crap out of me, and my husband. Also, wait, hold up, pause. Did you notice that Fred or George Weasley was in the movie?
Oh wait, was he the bartender dude?
He's the guy that takes her coat in the very first scene.
What?
Yes, that's one of them. I don't know
really?
which one. Yes, he's the guy that takes her coat.
Oh.
And I went, what? and so then during the movie, my husband was like, "Oh, the old lady's one of the lady from like Harry Potter. She's like from Harry Potter." Nope. It's Olenna Tyrell from Game of Thrones, also a Bond woman. So she
on her
was
Majesty's Secret Service.
Yes.
Okay, so she was like
she's
the best
Diana
one.
Rigg. Yeah, like
so
Diana Rigg is. Oh, and she's literally like the epitome of what she's playing. An old, like 60s, like she was the thing in 60s, and then now she's a woman in a tent. But I mean, she's still freaking fantastic. I mean, she has the best role in Game of Thrones by far, in my opinion. But
it was Oliver Phelps, by the way. I don't remember which Weasley he plays.
Okay. He's
but
a
can
Weasley.
confirm he was in there.
All that matters.
I know.
I don't know how I didn't notice him.
I don't know, because he has clear point of like, you can see he looks right at the camera and asks her who he like goes, "Oh, who are you with?" And she goes, "No one." And he goes, "Oh." She's just great. Oh yeah.
I loved Thomas and
Mackenzie.
Thomas and Mackenzie.
Oh yeah, she's great.
She's wonderful.
She's had a hit couple movies. She's 21.
Yeah, it was weird watching. So I was like, I look at her and think, oh, she's a baby.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, now she's in college. That's really weird.
Yeah.
That's
so
not supposed to happen.
She was in Jojo Rabbit and something else.
She was in Old.
Old, that's it. So
Yeah, she isn't old, which is unfortunate. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. That movie sucks.
We have to talk about him one day and how his movies are like here or here,
Yeah.
and
there's
no
never in between. No.
Yeah, it's like it's terrible or it's amazing.
And old is way down here.
Yeah, it is.
And The Happening is really up here. No, I'm kidding.
Of course, yeah. It's the pinnacle of cinema.
I really like The Happening, but it's probably because I like cheesy. So,
That movie made me mad. I can't watch it.
but we're not here to talk about M. Night Shyamalan. So,
Not yet.
Sorry, we're talking about a good movie. A consistently good filmmaker.
So I mean, now that we've kind of, I don't know, do you guys have anything else you guys want to talk about for Last Night in Soho?
I mean, I just want to say that it was I love that it was a slow burn because it was a movie that I sat down and watched. I was like, oh yes, this is nice. This is good. This is good. Oh, this is good. This is good. This is great. Oh my god, this is amazing. This is excellent.
Yeah.
It's like it just keeps getting better and better. It's like the dramatic arc just goes like from whoop, just goes straight up from bottom to the top of the screen.
It has a balance. So like the premise of the movie, thinking back on it, feels very chaotic. There's a lot of storylines. You know, she wants to be a fashion designer, and then Sandy wants to be a famous singer in the 60s. There's this going on, you know, she's awkward and sees ghosts. Like there's so many different levels of like plot points. And it almost feels like it could have been too much, but it balances perfectly for where like we don't reference the fact that she sees ghosts. We just know she does. Like we don't ever talk about it. You know, her boyfriend just totally accepts it, even though she went and had a full panic attack the first time they're trying to get down. And I'm like, oh, I would have been like, red flag, don't talk to that girl again. Like, no.
He was like dedicated. He was absolutely dedicated.
He was really in for it.
He was like, I'm getting this.
Yeah, almost dying in a fire.
No matter what.
But you know, like it, and like there's also like the old roommate who may or may not have drugged her. You know, like there's like so many things that like could have just made it feel like too much. But it's like this cacophony of like, is that the right word? Cacophony of like brilliance that just like spirals you up to that pinnacle, and then you're like, and then the movie ends.
Yep. And then one last ghost in the mirror, and you're like,
yeah,
she's back. And then she touches the mirror, touches Anya Taylor-Joy's reflection. I was just like, oh, that's great.
So beautiful.
I love it. It's like the ghost is at peace. This is great.
See, I didn't take it at peace. I took her. She was ready for more. See, and I lived that.
That's what I thought first, but then it was like at the very last touch, I was like, oh, okay, they're cool. They're cool.
They're cool. They're cool.
We're like this.
We vibed. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so what do we think? Which ones are bucket list worthy? What is bucket list worthy, friends? I pretty much think.
I feel like all of them.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let me paraphrase. Let me adjust that. Everyone we talked about should go on your bucket list. However, if you're watching Cornetto Trilogy, if you watch one of the movies, you know, you don't have to watch the others. But if you watch two of the movies, you have to watch all of them. So if you watch Shaun of the Dead, you know what? It's fine. That's all you want to watch? Cool. Watch Hot Fuzz? That's all you want to watch? Cool. But if you watch two of them, you got to watch the third one. I'm sorry. You have to watch all three. So that's just how it is.
Interesting.
Because you have to get the whole story. You have to understand, like, this is an entire, like, thematic trilogy. Every single movie here is about basically a guy whose entire life is just, like, fucked up. And his best friend who's like, I can help you not be completely fucked up. So, yeah, that's why.
I would agree with you on that one. Yeah.
I mean, going through them, like, you can't skip Baby Driver. It's like the most brilliant car movie to ever exist.
Literally.
Yeah. And like Scott Pilgrim versus the World, I mean, that's already been on the bucket list since the first episode. So, you know, I don't need to reiterate it, but
so watch it twice.
Watch it twice. That is the movie I've seen more than any other movie in my entire life. Like I could quote that movie front to back, like. And yeah, I have to put Last Night in Soho on it. Like I think this was just such a different direction for him to go in as far as like, you know, doing something like that's just horror, not horror comedy, something that's like maybe more subtle and something with a lot less action, and I think he nailed it.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's a slow burn to the max, and I think that's why you need to see it. Like see all his other films and then see this twist. Cuz like in his own it's like a twist in his like own work. Because he's like, "Hey, by the way, I can also do this." Like what a flex.
Yeah, right. He
Like,
conquers every genre he takes.
like he's done action, he's done comedy, he's done horror comedy, you know, like
yeah, heist film, driving film. It's crazy. Just brilliant, this man.
So it looks like he has a movie coming up. It's a remake. Sarah, do you want to talk about it? Do you know anything about it?
Not much is known. There hasn't been any updates since this article that was a while ago. Yeah, it was February this year. They announced that he was going to be making an adaptation of Stephen King's The Running Man. So no new word on that.
Interesting.
We'll see if it happens.
I'm super excited because that totally makes sense because Stephen King gave a raving review for Last Night in Soho. Like, and he very rarely like comes out and he's like, you have to do this. Like, if you're gonna listen to anything I ever say, go see this movie. And he was very vocal about Last Night in Soho, like going to see it. So that might make sense why they've kindred a relationship, you know? So interesting.
That must be nice, just
to have a relationship with Stephen King.
Stephen King says, like, you know what, I really like your thing. And then Edgar Wright's just like, yeah, I like your stuff too. It's just
let's
like,
do something. Yeah, like,
let's do this. Let's work together.
Let's work together.
Stephen King's tweet was, I got an advanced look at Last Night in Soho. Plan to see it again when it opens on Friday. I hardly ever rewatch. There's so many good things out there, but this one is special.
Like, what a beautiful review.
That's wonderful.
Like,
that's great.
I like that. I retweet that. I probably did retweet it. But yeah, so I'm gonna agree with Darrell and Sarah that I would put pretty much anything we talked about today being on your bucket list. Go see Last Night in Soho in theaters. Please support those type of films because like my theater was empty. Darrell saw it at 10 o'clock on Halloween. So
but
don't do that. But you know, like all of our theaters are pretty empty, which is saddening because it's such a great film and it needs to be seen so that we can get more of our favorites. Not that I think he would care. I think he'd still do movies even if he had no money, but
give him money.
Give him all your money. Please go like him, follow him. He deserves it. He deserves every bit of your love. But yeah, has anybody else got anything? What have we watched lately? Anybody seen anything fun?
I had a double feature on Halloween for Last Night in Soho and French Dispatch, which I love.
That's right.
I love French Dispatch, and then also Dune, like blew me away, and I absolutely.
I have not seen Dune yet, so
it's been a month for like some of my favorite directors, and it's been a month for me. It's been amazing.
Yeah, I watched Dune twice so far, and I had to see it. I had to see it in Dolby twice because it was not going to be in Dolby once Last Night so came out. So I saw that at 10 o'clock at night also one more time because I had to just get like the vibration in my seats as those like little helicopter things flew off. I was just like, oh, this is great. This is so cool.
I went IMAX for Dune, and I squinted through half the movie because I was in the desert. Like it was great.
Yeah, it's awesome. It is like one of the pinnacles of theatrical experiences. You got to see it that way. You'll get lost in a beautiful sandy world.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it did
course,
amazing.
The performances are good too. Everything else is good, but it's just like
for something that also came out on HBO, I was very impressed with the 40 million opening.
Yeah, it's making money, and they're making the second.
I'm glad
part,
it is,
which is great.
Yeah.
I saw Halloween Kills, which I was severely disappointed in. And I won't get started on that because it'll open a whole can of worms. If you have any questions, feel free to follow me on Twitter, and I'm sure I could rant about it for a little bit. I did show Darrell Scream. I'm prepping him for Scream 5. We're gonna do the whole thing.
Scream is so good.
It is really
Actually,
good.
Gracie, you showed me Scream for the first time when we were in college. I think it was like while we were editing
at
one of
that.
our 48-hour film fests.
Did we?
I hadn't seen
Interesting.
Scream before. That was the first time, and I've been obsessed with it since. I'm so excited for the new one. I think it's gonna be fun.
Interesting.
See,
My
that's what Grace
camera died,
does.
but I'm
She
keeping
just
going.
introduces us to stuff. I love that.
I also showed, we revisited Poltergeist because Darrell had never seen it all the way through. So we watched that on Halloween.
Yeah, it terrified me as a child, so I couldn't finish it. I saw a tree grab a child, and I was like, you know what? I'm good. I don't need to watch this. I'm 5. I don't want to see this.
I'm reworking my way through James Bond so I can go watch No Time to Die. So I'm
good.
sadly, I watched Casino Royale and then immediately was disappointed that I had to watch Quantum Solace. So I have taken a break. So that rewatch has taken one movie so far.
I haven't seen a Bond movie since Casino Royale.
Really?
That's okay.
Yeah,
Skyfall is pretty good. I would say
used to
Skyfall.
I've
love
heard.
Casino Royale. No
Yeah,
Time to
Casino
Die
Royale
very
is
good, though.
still my favorite. I would put Casino Royale as my
Same.
favorite.
That was my first one I ever saw. My very first
Interesting.
James Bond movie was Casino Royale, and so it's been like at the top. For my
Live and
entire
Let Die
life.
is my favorite. We should have a
I
James
love
Bond
Live and
movie.
Let Die.
I think we should do a James Bond one day because that's a hard one to cover because like there's no way we could prep enough for that, like watching all of them or
We'll do it this time next year.
so we have a year
all the movies.
worth. So you have
Watch
a year.
one Bond a week.
Yeah.
One Bond a week, and you still have half the year.
And I've rewatched The Addams Family 3 times in the last month. So if that makes you feel any better, because that's my comfort movie during Halloween, and I'm definitely talking about this, the cartoon version because I really love the cartoon version. I don't know why.
Yeah, as far as my Halloween movies, I watched Hocus Pocus, of course, and then I saw Cloverfield for the first time.
Ooh,
I
that would be a
absolutely
fun
loved
one.
it.
Interesting. We'll have to talk about that one. I haven't seen Cloverfield in a while either. I would have to rewatch it.
I wish I saw it in theaters. I saw it on DVD like 3 or 4 years ago, so
I saw it
recent for me too.
On a projector on the side of my house.
Good.
Very terrible way to see it, I think.
Just the way J.J. Abrams intended.
Oh well, there you go. But now that my camera's dead, which is really irritating because I definitely charged this battery for the last week and a half. I think it's probably time we should wrap up. But it was great talking to you guys, and it was great talking to all our listeners. My name is Gracie, and you can find me at Gracie May with a Y and 3 E's anywhere you see fit. Darrell, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Darth Darrell. That's Darth as in Vader, Mall, Sidious, take your pick. And Darrell, Darrell. And sometimes I'm there, sometimes I'm not. Please talk to me. I don't care. Mixed messages I'm trying to give y'all here.
And Sarah, where can we find you?
I am snotty_person on Twitter and snotty.person on Instagram. And that's snotty with an IE, not a Y.
All right. And check us out for the latest movie news at the Popcorn Bucket List on Instagram and at TPB_podcast on Twitter, or just find us on whatever social media you use and tune into our YouTube channel if you want to see our beautiful faces, except for mine right now because my camera died. We all did the same thing too, and I'm so sad you can't see me. We'll be uploading the video version of the podcast on Fridays. Please, you guys, interact with us on the social. If you listen to us, let us know. We'd love to open up like some dialogue, talk about your favorite movies, things that you think we should talk about. But yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys later. Hopefully my camera will last. And we'll see you guys maybe next week. That's of course if, our schedules match up. Bye, y'all.
Goodbye, everyone.